Hey, what's up, everyone? The castle here. Stuff gonna be explained. So, alright, yeah, like I went through and I set up a lot of the models, get a little bit more stuff. Not a lot to actually talk about other than just more progress. Um, there's quite a bit going on actually, on the art side of things. So, like, you'll notice that, like, I sort of reworked a lot of the textures. Mostly that's because I went through each and every one of the meshes, um, and assigned, more material IDs so that it'll be possible at a later time. What the hell did I just do? Oh God. Um, to what the fuck? Why is there a triangle? Okay. What was that? Okay. I'm not clicking on anything for a little while. Maybe I'm tired or something. Uh, it's just so that as soon as I need to be able to set up the editor system where when you select the mesh, you'll be able to actually assign the materials to it. Now, this has kind of raised a couple of new issues, though, in that some objects, when you select them, you'll notice that the material ID that I actually assigned the selection material to, I'm gonna have to like iterate through all of the material IDs so that the object actually looks like it's properly selected in some cases. So, like, yeah, you see, like the front of the mesh here doesn't look selected anymore because the back of the mesh, this has already existed, but now it's become a lot worse as a result of the new functionality that I'm getting ready to put in place and everything like that. But with that said, though, you can definitely see that there's improvements and everything like that. The one issue that I'm having right now, though, is that I feel like the cement, the yellow cement that I'm going with at this point in time, kind of looks like sandstone, and it's maybe it's okay, but for some reason it doesn't sit right with me. I'm thinking maybe it just needs to look like something else, like just regular cement or something. But I don't want to take even more color out of the scene. Like, I like the idea of having sort of like the base wall being the metal repeating texture, and then I can kind of select which walls to change. Like this wall over here can be a different texture. Like I can kind of fit in the brick because the brick looked really kind of bad when it was just repeating all the time, all over the place, everywhere. But yeah, like that looks like sandstone. So fuck. I'll have to do something. I don't know. But I will say though that I am starting to kind of feel a little bit like I can kind of get an idea of what the atmosphere is going to be like in this, and it feels very like there's like a lot of mud. I don't know. It's pretty interesting actually. It's a you can almost kind of taste the mud in the air. There's like just mud everywhere, and there's like sharp spikes, and everything's all rusty and beat up and old and everything like that. It's kind of cool. I like it. Um, I'm probably gonna just keep exaggerating that. Maybe even have like a variable on the materials where you can like add mud to them. So like so like you can see like more mud over here. I want to try and have like a different color rock or something like that. Which actually I'm gonna get to that in a second. But the uh, the open door terrain areas and everything like that are pretty cool. But I'm gonna have to add a lot more so that it's easier to like do like variations and changes to like the details on the walls and stuff like that, so that you can really kind of make things pop. I still definitely need to get the water and the slime material because it's supposed to be like shin high water right here. Um, let's see. You can tell I'm at 34 autosaves, which is it kind of shows you that I've just been floating around this map a lot lately, kind of just looking at things and trying to figure out what to do next and stuff. But yeah, like I can already tell right now, like with the way things are starting to come together, that this is going to be kind of almost like System Shock kind of atmosphere because it's just like there's just a lot of I don't know. It's gonna end up being a little creepier than the first Revulsion, I think, just because of the way things look. They're more detailed now, so you end up with these scenes that are just like, you know, if I know that things are actually trying to come out and kill me, and I'm like in an environment like this, I'm thinking like it's like I'm ready for a jump scare or something. I don't know if there really necessarily be any jump scares though, but I could definitely tell you that the pacing of Revulsion 2, Rev X2, will be um, will be a lot different. I think because of the nature of the game. The game's going to be more of your. It's going to be like I'm thinking System Shock 2, Doom 2, and uh, System Shock, Doom 2, and 7 Days to Die, and Fallout all had a baby or something. That's what I'm thinking. So like you get these like you have this sort of like open-ended world, right? And you and a bunch of your friends can choose a place to like build a fort and stuff like that. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but I'm kind of just going through and looking at things again. But you have a lot of areas that are just these like old bunkers that are sort of like fortresses that are sort of down, and old destroyed castles, and it's you're in some kind of like an X dimension where shit just it's just a freaky fucking place. There's lots of stuff can kind of fuck up, and I guess maybe it might be kind of atmospheric on that front. It's coming out to be more atmospheric than I was thinking it would be. Um, I was actually thinking it would probably have about the atmosphere of the first Doom or something like that, but no, this is a lot creepier than that. Um, so as far as like how it'll actually feel in Rev X2, I mean, this is Death Spiral, but the gameplay of Rev X2 is something that's kind of constantly weighing on my mind right now, and you would end up having like these sort of enclosed spaces, these kind of places, and then it'll kind of branch out, and then you'll start seeing these like more open type areas where I'm gonna just keep making these like large like terrain meshes and stuff, and placing like different types of details everywhere, and things like that. And kind of figuring out like just like interesting ways to kind of create these sort of like big open spaces, and then within these big open spaces you'll be able to find locations where you can build a fort and stuff like that, and you can set up shop, and get your crafting materials, and do all that. But then you'll visit a place like that over there, and you'll go through it kind of like you would a dungeon in Fallout or something, and then maybe come back out again. But they're all in the same map though, so that's weird. I don't know what the limitations are yet of in terms of like what I can do as far as replication and stuff like that. The thing is though is that when you're playing the game properly and not in editor mode, you're actually just playing regular mode. Um, Everyone's going to have their own copy of the map locally, so it loads that file locally. Um, the only things that need to replicate actually are just the spawn points and stuff like that on the server. Well, you're not even the spawn points. They don't really even necessarily need to replicate. I just need the server to constantly be checking to see if like if you reach an area where there could be like a spawn of ambush, and then you can like be searching over here, and maybe there's like a dead body, and there's like some overturned stuff, maybe a little area over here that looks like an abandoned camp where everyone was killed or something, and you kind of come in and you can like loot some stuff over here, and then that causes an ambush where a bunch of demons and a hell beast like spawn, and you're like, oh shit, and you're like da 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 da, fuck fuck fuck, and you try to start running back a little bit, but there's even more monsters in this direction. You get that kind of like flow, but a lot of it will probably be sort of spent kind of exploring, kind of looking around, and gathering resources basically, and then bringing them back so that you can get better and better stuff. The things that make this a lot different, though, is that the combat is very Doom-esque. It's going to be very much like Revulsion, which is sort of like a Quake 2 Doom, it sits somewhere between Doom and Quake 2, um, in terms of its combat. So you're circle strafing, you're fighting, you might fight like a horde of monsters with a minigun. You know what I mean? That's not the sort of thing you would do in something like 7 Days to Die. Like, the guns and bullets are very rare. In this, you never run out of ammo because there's a thing that you can do with your melee weapon where you right click on the melee weapon and the melee weapon comes up and you recharge all of your ammo for every weapon. It just takes a certain amount of seconds to do it. So you go like this, and so you technically have unlimited ammo. It just requires you to use sort of like a cooldown that replenishes all of your ammo. You know what I mean? So like, um, ammo is not something that you have to craft. It's not, it's still very combat centric kind of a thing. But as things continue to kind of like go forward, um, as you'll be constantly getting like better and better guns. It's very much like the Revulsion gameplay. If you play Revulsion, you're getting an idea of the base core loop that this game will have. Like you'll get damaged items, you'll get stuff that you can gem, you can get stuff that you can, you might get some worn boots that are like a slight upgrade to your damaged boots or whatever. Like you'll constantly just be getting like little things here and there, and then you bring them back to your base instead of bringing them to your Firelink shrine, so to speak. You're bringing it back to your fort where you can craft. You basically you build your own Firelink shrine, so to speak, and there are set locations in the world. So the way a world like this kind of will flow is like the open spaces will be very much like this, I think. I'm gonna try and make a lot of meshes. Like that's my goal tonight, honestly. If I don't end up jumping onto VR chat for a while and having fun on there, this is mostly going to be a night, like a few days of just creating more mesh variations, more objects. I'm kind of imagining like this space might be cool with giant mushrooms and stuff, and but to actually give it a shot and see like what it's like to have like a really big open space that's actually detailed with like little forts here and there, structures. You really use the hierarchical instancing to build, to have buildings that I can just instance around. Um, so it's like a weird combination of a lot of stuff that's never really been done together. Um, you know, yeah, I don't know. Even for Death Spiral, you're probably gonna encounter some areas that are more open-ended, just because I want to experiment with the idea of what it's like to deal with more open-ended spaces. You know, because like as it is right now with Revulsion One, I can spawn a monster and give him a much larger leash, and the monster can wander pretty much anywhere. The only thing is that they're set up in such a way where you can't sneak around them and stuff. You know what I mean? Like doing something like an actual sort of open world kind of a thing. You should be able to like crouch, and that should enable like sneak mode, and that should like make it harder for them to see you. You know, so you can kind of get around monsters that you don't want to fight and stuff. I'm a big fan of Fallout. Um, I'm a big fan of Doom. I'm a big fan of 7 Days to Die. I kind of want to see what it's like if all of them got together and had a baby. I mean, that's basically it. Um, and yeah. So that's pretty much it. I mean, let's see. Obviously, there'll probably have to be some degree of like how you can gather stuff, and there's some mechanics like that might need to change, like or be modified. Maybe there's like special things that you can get down here for like gathering resources or whatever. Like you might need a pickaxe if you're gonna, you know, get an iron mine or something like that. So like there might just be iron mines that sort of spawn. I might try and do some kind of like a dynamic spawning system where it kind of keeps you on your toes. Like, well, there hasn't been an ambush for a while, so maybe it's time for some kind of an event or something like that. Like, um, but I don't know. Those don't really bode too well for me. I actually kind of think that it would be better if things were just sort of randomized a little bit in terms of like where the ambushes would actually be. Like, there's an ambush out here somewhere, but you don't know where. You know what I mean? Um, there's still a lot of time to think about all of this stuff, But one of the things that's nice about this is that the multiplayer loop is already in place. Literally, I'm running around as the character. I just need to add the guns, the looting, and you know what I mean. Like this is the character that will be used. I just need to add the options menu, but all that stuff can come in time. Like I don't have to worry too much about that. Right now, I'm still building an episode for the first Revulsion. It's just I'm very much in the mindset of creating the new stuff, like figuring out how the new game will function. And it'll be kind of interesting too because a lot of the development will probably coincide with people actually like playing the game normally. Like I might have people join the server where all they do is just spawn into the world and start gathering resources and bring them over to their fort, and like there another chunk of the map can be getting built over there while it's happening. I don't know when I'm going to run into limitations here. I do know that um, the clients can only see geometry that's so far away. I might have to like have like a always relevant check mark for like really big important stuff that's in the distance, like towers or whatever. But for the most part, like yeah, you do have to worry about objects simply not rendering when they're too far away. So you have to break off sight lines and stuff like that. That's not that big of a deal, honestly. Honestly, it's probably a good idea. Um, but yeah, um, I don't know. I got a good feeling about this. I have a good feeling that this will be interesting. That this will be cool to see in action, and like to see the combat that you would normally see in a game like Doom or Quake or something like that, like in a survival like kind of open world experience is I, I don't know, because like usually open world games don't have good combat unless it's like the PvP or something. But like, this there's circle strafing. You'll actually be seeing people like strafe jumping, like to get around, and like there'll be like strafe jump boots or whatever, and like you'll see people like that's their vehicle. That's how they get around. They fucking just build up speed by fucking strafe jumping around. Like, you know, I mean, not to say that there probably won't be vehicles. You probably have like a drone or something like that, or flying vehicle, but those could be limited, like how high they can go or whatever. But yeah, like, yep. All right, so that's pretty much that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end the video now, but I just wanted to kind of, yeah, I was just thinking about this a lot. I just, it just seems cool. It just seems really neat, you know? And to have it all like compounded, like yeah, actually, that's one thing that really interests me too. Since this is a multiplayer level editor, and once I start like, fleshing out the bounds for the actual world, and having like 5 or 6 people all working on the map at the same time, I bet an open world map can come together pretty fucking fast. Like 5 or 6 people is a lot of people for like one fucking level. Like, you know what I mean? So like basically my goal should be to sort of just get a base, idea of where everything should go and how big it's, what the actual scope of the space should be, and then just kind of let it go from there. Of course, I don't want to do that too much on this map. This map, it opens up, but basically the fortress that you want to defeat is over here, but it requires a yellow key, and you have to go this way further. And then there's like side paths and areas over here where you can find loot or whatever. Like I want to experiment a little bit with the idea of opening it up a little bit and having larger open spaces, but like yeah. Let's see. Yeah, over here is where you'll encounter an entrance that leads you to another level, another map essentially. But yeah, that's pretty much the progress on this. I'm gonna go ahead and end it now. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for more. I mean, this is especially if I get a live stream going with this, it'll be really really interesting. All right, take it easy.